Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. 2 minutes after 10. I know. Once again, I'm running a little behind. I'm always running behind, though. All right. So I hope you guys are doing well. Happy post snow flurry day. Yeah, it was pretty. Personally, I thought it was a little more impressive in the day period because we were so much colder during the day than we were at night. So the flakes were bigger. It was just pretty to look at. Once you got into last night, you could tell we were starting to lose the part of the atmosphere that can generate snowflakes was starting to dry up. And when that happens, the snowflakes get smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually just become drizzle. So it's not as fun to look out the window at, let alone try to stick to a pavement that's warm. But at least it was a festive one, and it was a good, as I always say, a good training wheels type of setup to get us ready for the upcoming season. And I mean that more so for our end to make sure everything's working right since last winter, and then we're on track. All right, a lot to cover today. Oh, by the way, hi, I'm Brian Good. Nice to meet you. Welcome to SnowTALK. If you are new here, remember you can go on social media pages: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. We're on Twitch. And you can go there. In fact, I just got the notification that we're live on Twitch. So we're there. So you can go there to comment, and it'll show up in my system here. So bear with me because it's a bit of a delay. Otherwise, if you're watching on streaming, obviously you have no idea what I'm talking about because you don't see the comments fly in, but I promise I'll address them as we go along. What I like to do, go through the Outlook, cover all the details the best I can, and then give you guys a chance to ask any questions that you may have, and you likely will have. All right, how much snow did we get officially in Louisville? Wasn't a lot. 1/10 of an inch of snow officially in the books. But hey, it was measurable snow. That means we're now in the books. Now it's winter, unofficially. Now we can add on to that. Let's just hope we don't get 0.1 for every system from here on out, which has happened before. Normally in the year we get about 13. I think this year, if you remember the winter forecast, we're on the lower end of the scale. And right now, I don't think we are going to change that. We'll keep it locked in as it is and just kind of evaluate the trends as we get monthly data. Really helps us in determining how the winter is going to play out. So we got a lot of October data that got us into November's outlook. We've been going through November's data to get us through the December outlook, which obviously we've been talking about continues to look cold and at times snowy. Will it go all the way to the end of the month, Christmas and toward New Year's Eve? That is a little more of a challenge. And then as we hit the next few weeks, we'll start to dissect January's data a little more. So we'll just kind of take it in steps and phases that we can't always do in a winter forecast way in advance. So I'll cover some of that here today as well. All right, so that's a snow amount, 0.1. I'll show you the map on the general area in a second. What's ahead of us? Well, kind of tough for next week. For the travel day and Thanksgiving, we are still right there on the line for rain or snow. It just depends, and it may be a combination where we get something wintry at the beginning that goes to rain, then back to something wintry. I'll explain. And then I still think the December 3rd through 6th period is a period to watch. Don't know if we're going to get a big system. That's why I never put on here, if I don't see it as one. If it's one system, I'll put system to watch. If it's just an active period where we don't know how many are involved, it will always be listed as period to watch, if that makes sense there. Okay, so that is where we stand on the charts with that outlook down the road. Today, well, it's still cloudy, gloomy out, right? And it will be windy for much of the day, chilly. At times, we'll get some drizzle, passing rain shower, no snow today. The sun will try to make an appearance, too, every once in a while. So it's just kind of one of those typical November days, really. Nothing too alarming on that. 41 right now in Louisville, 37 in Salem, 39. Hello in Bedford, Indiana. Wind chills, not as brutal as yesterday, really, because the wind is not as strong yet, but it will ramp up a bit more today, especially if we get some sun breaks. That will certainly increase those speeds over 25 miles per hour. And we do have some of those sun breaks showing up across the southern part of the Commonwealth. Meanwhile, we got a few there into Washington County, Indiana, but mostly cloudy sky otherwise in the area. We are now the backside of that loop-de-loop that took place that provided for the snow, especially for Indiana, Ohio, and a good chunk of East Kentucky as well. Now it is Pennsylvania that is getting the brunt of that, and the Appalachians, and eventually into the nation's capital. They'll be dealing with some snow. So what about here? Well, snow measurement is a challenge here, as it is anywhere, but it's certainly here. And the reason for that is that you don't just take a ruler and go out and measure snow in your yard. A lot of us do that because that's just what we think is the simple way to do it. We stick the ruler in the yard, there's the snow, boom, boom, boom. Or it's a case where you stick the ruler on your deck and you're like, this is how much I got. In all fairness, that is a lot more accurate than the grass. Never measure snow in the grass. It will not be accurate. If you measure snow on a flat surface like the deck, okay, that's fair, but you have to do it in a what we call a die pattern, like if you're holding a die playing Monopoly or something like that. All right. So here's what I mean. Say, pretend this is the ground right here, and I'm going to go find a spot to measure. I'm going to measure a spot here in this part of the yard, 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 and this part of the yard. Again, almost the 5 dots that you would see on a die, and then you do the average of those. Then that is your snow total for your yard. Complex, right? But it helps in balancing out any kind of drifting that has happened with the snow or any melting in some areas, whatever the case may be. It gets just a much more accurate appearance. Weather Service, what they use, not only at the Weather Service office, but even at the airport, they have what they call a snow board that they have that's on near the runway, actually. But when the snow falls, they go out and they do the multiple point measurement and then send out that number. So that's the best way to get that. Now, to get that data, though, of you all measuring and the Weather Service measuring into the systems that you see here, well, that's much harder because there's not a clear-cut way for that to happen unless you just type it all in manually, which sometimes we do. But if you get several of them, boy, it's very time consuming, right? So that process, I think, is one that Noah, I think, is working on to try to figure out how to make it better. And I don't know what the eventual solution will be to something like that, but just kind of give you guys an idea. When you go to measure snow, try to keep that in mind of measuring in a die pattern. And when you send it to us, that does help us out a lot. And it gives us more confidence on the amount that you're showing. Okay. Anyway, you probably didn't want to know all that, but I thought I would at least share. I like to overshare sometimes. This is just a model estimate, and I think that's fair that there was a light colding across Indiana. I think it's interesting that it automatically took out Louisville, and then it stretches down to the south and east, and it was all really just East Kentucky, an inch or less. Some spots maybe a touch more out of our area into Indy, but most areas that were around Trimble, Madison, Carroll County, Frankfort area, Anderson County, roughly about that inch, 1.2, something like that kind of mark. All right, so this isn't too far off. A light event, but very close to what the forecast was. We didn't have anything wild on totals in the forecast, but still a light event nonetheless. Okay, let's move on. What's next? Well, today it's going to be quiet. We have a lot of cloud cover, as you saw there now. Now, we'll see some breaks that'll determine how warm we get. I don't think we're going to see enough to make a huge difference. So we'll stay relatively cloudy tonight, and that will keep the temperature steady. There's not a big drop tonight. The challenge is tomorrow, and I know we got the Cards game. The only issue tomorrow that keeps trying to show up is, will the clouds get stuck all day? This is a minor issue. It's not going to rain or snow or anything, but if the clouds get stuck, we may not get out of the 40s for Saturday. So prepare for the heavy coats, the hoodies, dress warm for into the game. Good football weather, really. Not as great as what the Steelers had, of course, in Cleveland with the lake effect snow off of Erie, but still it is nice to at least say that we have a decent football weather without it being brutally cold. Just a little uncomfortable, but I just want to make sure you guys are ready and know what to dress for if you're heading out to the L&N Stadium. Okay, so after that, we do have a better chance for sunshine. Sunday does look to be a really good day. And right now, based on the 10-day, Sunday is the best looking day I see in the 10-day window, and maybe one of the best looking days we have for a long time. Maybe the rest of the year, although it's almost over. So soak up Sunday. If you haven't done your holiday decor yet, based on the outlook I'm about to show you for next week, Sunday. I would do it Sunday. Okay. We get into a setup on Monday before we get to Thanksgiving where a front moves on by. This is going to scoop up some warm air. I think we'll get into the 60s, by the way, on Monday. Still a chance for some thunder here, but I'm not seeing parameters right now that alarm me for severe. But some thunder, wind fields are iffy. The amount of fuel, not great. Amount of moisture is increasing a tad. All those little factors we're watching carefully. We will. Carson will be watching over the weekend, too, to see if there's any signal for a thunderstorm potential that may grow there out of this front Monday evening. But right now, I don't think it's anything to worry about. right, and rainfall amounts are coming in about a quarter, maybe half inch as it moves on by. All right, so what about our snow chances ahead? And let me bring this full screen for you all, because again, this is the matrix. I love to call it, not the one with Neo, but the different kind of matrix. Again, Euro ensemble snow members, each read each line, and if it's all blank on each member, then it doesn't see anything happening. If it fills something in on that line, that model sees something. Don't pay attention to the number. You probably can't even read them because I can't even from here. But the color does matter. Gray is a very light, blue is a little bit more of a moderate, and then you get into your pinks, and then you got some fun coming your way. And what you want to see, as I've said before, you want to see agreement. You want to see all these lines just fill in a row over the date, fill in right along the row. That gives you confidence on that event and that potential. Now, it's barely even seeing what happened this morning. That's why there's a bit of a delay, because this model ran while it was still snowing last night, so it's got a few leftovers there, so ignore that. But looking into the end of the month in December, well, it's noisy, but it just doesn't know where to focus. You can see the range of dates from around Thanksgiving into the 1st of December, 3rd, 5th, 7th. It just doesn't know. There's not a solid signal of one system showing up. It's just indicating that there's multiple. But that also does tell me, when you see multiple like that, even though this is not what the data is used for, it does tell me that it's signaling that this means the air is going to be cold enough that where the model thinks at least it's possible to snow. So when you see that long of a period with at least blotchy snow amounts, that tells you we're in a cold pattern, and we may stay in it for another couple of weeks with very little warming that will take place. So it's a very interesting tool. You can look at it different ways. It helps you. A lot of people use it exactly for the snow amount. I don't think it's that significant for a snow forecast on amounts. I think it's about confidence on the pattern ahead. And this is one of the best tools, I think. All right, so let's look at it on paper or map. And you can see it. Here's the Monday wave coming in. It's Monday afternoon, by the way, not Monday morning, Monday afternoon. A band of showers, maybe some thunder, moves in, swipes on out. Then we get into the travel day into Thanksgiving. And this is where there's a lot of pressure here from the north, trying to push down some cold air. At the same time, this low is trying to just track right across anywhere from Bowling Green to Nashville, somewhere in that range. And to get snow around here, usually in the core of winter, a track anywhere from Jackson, Tennessee, Nashville to Huntsville usually can be a really good track for snow in Kentucky and Indiana. You get to Bowling Green or north, and we get more of a mixed area, or we just go to rain. So right now, the track historically is a rain track for us. But again, that cold air is shallow and trying to beat in on the northern side of that. So we need to watch, because any slight change here in this track is going to take this rain snow line, which is an accumulating snow, by the way, for Thanksgiving off to the north, and push it down to the south. We have not seen enough data yet that we can flag this, or even the travel days and alert day just yet. I'm going to look over more of the midday data today. We'll all talk and see what we think on this. But I do think that as we head into the Wednesday through Friday window, there's going to be maybe a couple of systems that will come through. And you just need to stay close to the forecast if you're going to be doing any traveling whatsoever, and we'll keep you updated on it. All right. It shows the snow showers for the shoppers on Black Friday. That's always nice when it times out that way. I don't mind rain on Thanksgiving. I really don't, because everyone is hungry and wants to eat. So we don't want anything to stop us from eating. So I get that. But when it comes to shopping, as long as it's festive, it puts everyone in that mood, right? You hear the music in the stores playing Christmas music. Burl Ives is playing. You see all the trees that are lit up, all the shopping bags everywhere. It's just maybe it's an 80s thing that I love, but it's just a good vibe when that lines up like that. So I'm hoping that happens for Festive Flakes. But again, we stay in a cold pattern. There's even a clipper that shows up on the Euro for that following weekend that could provide for another light snow event. So it's interesting, really is. But it could be one that can get cold and really cold fairly quick if this keeps building like this. We're going to keep building that snowpack to the north of us, especially, and then building more south. And eventually you're going to end up getting colder and colder. So early December, the first 2 weeks of December look quite interesting for the area. All right. What about Thanksgiving? Let me bring this full screen. Here is Thanksgiving morning. The different ideas I showed you on the chart with the Euro and how it's line by line on just snowfall. Well, this is the GFS on a map doing the same thing, but shows you a map of the different types. And one thing you notice, some of the boxes have us, if you can tell where Kentucky is on this, have us right into the rain zone. Some have nothing. And the reason why is speed. Like this particular ensemble is really slow. Doesn't want to bring it into Thanksgiving night. This one's Thanksgiving morning. This one really looks like it arrives late Wednesday night into Thanksgiving. They're all over the place. There's not a common theme, in other words. You got some that show snow, some that show rain. It's just, I want to see every one of these boxes look as identical as they possibly can, because that does the same thing as the other chart does. It raises confidence on a particular scenario. This, unfortunately, is a low confidence looking chart. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out as we head into down the road. Okay, let me get into the 10-day. I think that was next. Oh, no, polar vortex. Yes, you can see it stretched across Siberia, across polar flow. I know it moves really fast, but it dives right down into the eastern United States for the first few days of December. I mean, this is Arctic air we're talking about. It comes into play just after Thanksgiving. All right, let's get into your 10-day, and I'll try to get to some of your questions real quick. Let's see. Travis, you're up there in northern Indiana, 2.7. Yeah, Indy got a lot. Ball State, I think Ball State got like 4, something like that. So pretty cool. Michelle, first hard frost. Well, we've already had a frost. I think we are missing the hard freeze. Hasn't really happened in many areas. That is likely with that Arctic air that comes into play for, as you see there at the end of the 10-day. Once we get into that weekend, that's when we will get into more Arctic air and should freeze up. So if you've had annuals that are still living, or anything that normally would be dying off at this point, it's really going to be struggling by next weekend. So if you haven't brought it in yet and want to save it, then you better hurry, because things are going to change for us real fast there. Okay. What's he say? Kevin and Ryan mentioned you last night on how you come alive when the snow happens. Well, yeah. They're just jealous. They really do want snow. They just can't control their excitement. So they have a different way of handling it. Let's see. Travis, the negative Western Pacific oscillation helps too in December. Yes. And Travis is talking about a teleconnection that involves the Western Pacific versus high and low pressure. It has gone negative. That is a big player on us getting cold as well. It does trend positive between Christmas and New Year's. So let's hope that's not a sign that things are going to reverse at the holidays and get warm. But if we go by that teleconnection, Travis, that's exactly what that teleconnection would mean. All right, we'll worry about that later. I got to run, guys. Thanks as always for the support and watching. Appreciate it. It's going to be a decent weekend, just chilly. But Sunday is going to be the best looking day coming up for us. And then, again, travel day, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, just stay close to the forecast. There's going to be so many adjustments to this. So in some cases, it may be adjusted from morning to afternoon. You may see different outlooks for this. So just stay close is the best advice I can have for you guys. And we'll do all the worrying for you all. All right, you take care of yourselves. So you guys on the flip side.